Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host. I'm a filmmaker on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode, I pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on streaming. I pick a favourite film from that topic and battle it out against a guest to decide which film would become the greatest film of all time. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Please enjoy part 2. Right, Leigh from the Lights Camera Rant podcast. What is your pick for James Cameron films?
So my pick is Aliens, which
Nice.
is almost the antithesis of Terminator, where you got this nice, slow horror movie at the very start, and then Aliens 2 is just balls to the wall action.
Yeah.
There is literally no other way you can describe it but balls to the wall, so I'm glad we both came up with the same.
No.
I think that's in the dictionary under Aliens, balls to the wall.
Phallus aliens all over the shop.
Yeah.
Wow.
I really, really like this film. I always go kind of back and forth between this one and Alien, the original Ridley Scott's one, of like which is my favorite. I do kind of lean towards more Alien, I guess, sometimes, but sometimes when I rewatch this, I'm like, is this better though? I'm not sure. They're both so incredibly good. I adore this film to bits. I really love it. Yeah. So you're gonna have to fight me, Boaz, for some crazy scores here. But
well, that's cool. No, I'll embrace it. This is the first time I've ever watched this film, so this was good to get like fresh pair of eyes.
Really?
I've literally been meaning to watch this for a very long time. Yeah, no, I just haven't got around to it.
I'm smashing my head to my hand there. In disbelief, but carry on.
Yeah, but even if before we even did this podcast, I'd never watched Alien, and that was the first time I'd watched Alien, was with you.
Were there any other movies in contention for you, Leigh, or was it just Aliens for you?
My first thing was Terminator 2. That was another thing. I thought, the other one was Titanic, but I feel like Titanic is always done.
Yeah.
I thought, let's look at something that, not saying it's a dead franchise, but something that's been very, it's so past its high point. Very much like Terminator, where you got as I say, you got the slow horror start, and then you got this big action piece, and then you don't watch 3, you don't watch 4, you don't watch 5.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
I
think James Cameron has like a curse when it comes to franchises. Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
I think Resurrection, you just watch it for the basketball shot where Sigourney Weaver literally just makes a basket from behind.
Yeah.
For real, that's the only good bit.
She did that for first shot, right?
Yeah.
I think I've heard that in like, facts you didn't know about whatever. Facts you didn't know about Alien, and she did that in one hand. I thought that was this film, so I was looking for that. I was like, where the fuck is the basketball?
Terrible score, no basketball,
I was misled.
Alien 4 is weird. Weird.
Dreadful alien design at the end.
Oh, I think I'd heard about that. Wasn't that like they didn't have a script until like literally they're filming, and then like, what the fuck are we gonna do? They're like making it up as we go. Like, I think I watched the thing of like the making of, and it was like a complete shit show. And
you can tell, even though we're talking about Aliens 2, but Aliens 4, and like how she comes back, how like there's a guy who is in love with the alien, starts kissing the glass, trying to make out with it. I'm not joking.
That's weird.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, Leigh, what happens in Aliens?
We see the return of Sigourney Weaver. We see that she's been traveling in space. We get a new team, and we get Newt, which I think was a very cute addition to the whole movie. But so this is obviously based a few years after the initial one. This definitely ramps up, like even in the title, Aliens. It ramps up so much. If you were terrified of the first one, this gives you a swarm of them. But this time you feel definitely more gung-ho.
I think they do it in a pretty good way. That there is a lot more gung-ho, and it's a lot more violence and stuff. But like they do get fucked up bad, like Like, these things are still way above them, in terms of, deadliness. So they don't, like, I don't feel like they dilute the threat. Even though there's more of them, it's not like they're, like, cannon fodder. It's like, each one of these things would fuck you up. So I like how they keep that feeling up.
Yeah. Something you did mention earlier, which I did love about this film as well, is, like, you were mentioning how dark and dystopian at the beginning of Terminator 2 and how, like, rough it looked and how grey. I liked all this in the technology. It was still like the kind of that roughness.
Oh yeah.
Everything, nothing's shiny. It's all like block and rough,
dirty. It's grubby.
I think the atmospherics in this film and in the first one are just absolutely tremendous, just to build this atmosphere and tension throughout both films. I think it achieves it a little bit better in the first one for me, but it's still pretty impressive in this one. So initial reactions, Boaz, to this one?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. I really did enjoy it, like, a ton. I thought it was awesome.
So directing then, like, I love, like, the jump scare that starts off the very first, like, proper action scene where one of the Marines, like, lifts up the head of one of the people that slime to the wall about halfway through the film. Then the alien, like, bursts out of her chest. Like, Cameron doesn't try to outdo Ridley Scott in the first film with the chest burster scene. He intercuts it with Ripley watching on the monitor as if it's happening to her, so she really feels that woman's pain. I love how the aliens are revealed as well. There's, like, a few shots of just walls and corridors or tunnels, then the walls start moving and they're actually aliens coming at them. It catches you off guard completely. And most of, like, the firefight is seen through, like, the helmet cameras and on Ripley and Gorman's faces. And I love how Cameron is kind of, like, holds back on the action at this point and saves it for something bigger with Ripley driving the tank thing through the wall, to save them, and then Drake dies quickly and there's aliens all over the place. There's one trying to get through the door, and nearly double mouths Ripley in the face. It's just... I like how, the gunfire action is kind of restrained for a big action moment for Ripley.
And I even like, how, the thing is, like, coming through after that action scene, and most of them have died. And, most of them, like, they've died either, like, via their, you see their death via the, like, it cuts back and forth, but you see their death via, the faded out screen of their, like, helmet cam. It's like, oh, it's gone. And, some of them you actually do see them die. They're, like, on one guy accidentally sets himself on fire, and, there's, like, being thrown and hurled, and, everything's going on. It's, like, quite a lot. But then I do like that later when, the tank comes in and then, the alien's there and that guy shoots it and it cuts to him and, like, the acid sprays all over him and he's like, fuck, and, it burns through him. So it's all just, like, quite intense. It's it's action-packed, but it's really intense as well.
You can definitely feel the PTSD through it. Like, at the very start, like, you feel, like, as anyone would who'd interact with an alien for the very first time, like, you still feel like no one kind of believes her. Like, the team's like, it's just been pretty bad. Don't worry. We'll be fine. And... but I do like you get to meet the team. Like, I feel like we get a good enough time with the team as well. Especially that was Bishop of the Knife scene.
That was cool.
Yeah, and that was legit. They just rewind it up, and just Bill Paxton like, ah!
Great screaming face from him.
Yeah, I think what was great as well is, like, the personality in the team as well. They're set up quite well before you get the action scene, which kills off, like, 2/3 of them. So you get to see them interact with each other, talk, joke, fuck around. Have reservations about the mission, or, be very cocky and stuff, and be very cocky to, you kind of get this sort of build. And then, they're scared in the situation when they're down there and everybody's dead and they don't know what the hell's going on. And so it just takes you, I like that it gives you time with these people and then, like, wipes out 2/3 of them, like, really quickly.
Yeah.
So you're like, whoa.
I do love the facehugger scene where Ripley and Newt are, like, trapped in the med lab. And Burke has knocked over the tubes that contain the facehuggers. It's great because the two jump scares still gets to me every time because I think Cameron just keeps things simple. In the first one, you see like a shot of the empty tube just roll a little, and then an extended shot on Ripley's face looking at it. Then boom, cut to the facehugger just coming straight at her. And then the second one has like no suspense building to it at all, really. Like Ripley just sets off the sprinklers, the red lights come on, cut to the others coming to the rescue. Then the next shot back with Ripley, the face hugger seems to come out of nowhere to attack Ripley. It's just great, simple stuff from Cameron to catch you out.
Yeah, and it's also great, like when that one comes for her and it's like, and she's like moving back. And it comes for her, and it's grand. And then you got a second face hugger that comes for the girl, like while she's watching this horrific thing, like a second one just crawls up, just behind her, and then she's like, oh shit, and then she pushes the table on it, and you're like, fucking crush it. So like it's just done so well of, because he does a very good job of here in just ramping up the tension. That's what you need, to like get the blood rolling. You're like, here's a problem, and it's tense. This is gonna die. Here's another problem, and you're like, shit. It just ramps it up.
Yeah.
How that's revealed over the course of that scene is pretty cool.
I like how they make the face huggers pretty formidable as well. Like they feel really strong. Like one of them's got its tail round Sigourney's neck, and she's literally trying as much as she can to get it off, but it's just stays in position trying to get her face.
Absolutely. You've even got two of the other soldiers trying to like pry it off. You're like, wow, God, even if just like one of these little things is a big deal. And then later you've got hundreds of these fucking things, breaking into the room.
I love the action scene when all the lights go red because it's so relentless. I love how like Cameron plays with the whole like tracking dots on the monitor thing to kick things off. Like the aliens are getting closer and closer, and yet they can't see them. And Ripley realizes they're in the ceiling, and I love that brief shot of Hicks like seeing lots of aliens crawling quietly towards him. Just a great ominous shot there, and I love the whole atmosphere of the gun battle. It's very dark. You get like just black and reds nearly every time an alien is shown. It's slightly scary because it's so brief and fast paced. You're not sure what's going to happen next, and it's so intense in like a good way because you just get glimpses of what's going on. So I love the moment when like Vasquez like stamps an alien's head on the side of the air vent and like shoots it in the head. That was so cool, so badass.
Yeah, that was awesome.
A great death too, of like her and Gorman blowing up themselves, killing a load of aliens. A great sacrifice death.
It just builds up so much intensity that even though there is more aliens, you still only get really glimpses. You only get fast shots of the aliens, so it's almost still keeps them similar like the first one. But even though there's so much more, we don't get like still like halfway through the film, you don't really get a solid shot. It's still like go go go, and you feel that claustrophobic with the cast because you're like, they're in the vents, they're everywhere.
Because you don't know what's going to happen next and where they're going to approach from next in that scene. It's so frantic and intense,
Yeah, the floor grates, the roof grates.
I also like when what was it? Fucking Burke locks them in. He's such a twat. Like he leaves and he just locks the door, and they're trying to run after him. It's like, and I love, he gets his comeuppance. Like that made me feel good. Where he's trying to escape and he opens a door. Basically, the camera towers over him, almost like almost a POV of the fucking alien. It's like this small man thought he could play God.
Yeah, sucker.
And like him, just like what the fuck, and then it's face, and then straight into his head. I thought that was great. Get rid of that motherfucker.
It does feel like a really just iconic shot of just the all the drool coming off of the mouth of the alien. It just fills the frame slightly off center.
Yeah.
That just feels like a classic alien shot that you get in most alien films.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that was a good one. I do like how they play with the dots as well, as you were saying, where it's like they're getting closer. And I like how there's the urgency and that they're like sealing the door, like seal it quick, That's close.
Yeah.
It's like, and then it's
We'll be
like, they're
fine.
at the door and it's like, hang on a minute, they're like 3 feet in front of us, you're reading it wrong. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I love is the radar, like the intensity of the radar is the beeps and the beep beep. Even playing, obviously, there's a game called Alien Colonel Marines. That's a sequel to this.
Yeah.
And even in the game, you feel the intensity because there's no HUD. You only have that beep to find the alien.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's such a great device that Cameron plays with. You would think they would have better technology than that, just turn it into 3D, people, but not 2D. But
even though it's the future, no.
It's the future in the past,
It's very much like 80s sci-fi. So
yeah,
I just like the imagery of it, where and actually that whole sequence where the newt like falls down in the it's like a water tunnel or something.
It's the gutter, I guess.
It's a gutter, yeah. Like falls in there, and they're trying to get her out and stuff, and welding through the thing, and then you see like the alien just kind of come out of the water, towering over her.
Great image,
and it just cuts cuts back to them, and smashing the thing down, and then they're both gone.
I do really like that scene, but I think the only issue I have is that you can definitely sense that there is string holding the tail up, but
I seriously did not notice it.
It just doesn't feel quite right. But yeah, that's my only thing that's a bit distracting. Again, like the whole mise en scène of it is pretty awesome, to use a posh word.
Yeah, yeah, but I didn't see that. Fortunately,
that's good.
Yeah.
That last fight between the alien queen and Ripley in the loader is great.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Not the most intense action scene in the film, but still really good, where Cameron is quite clever, I think, by using a lot of close-up shots, and it feels quite evenly matched, because it's not just like a boxing match. They use the alien queen's tail jabbing at her, and she uses her double mouth snapping at Ripley, and Ripley uses the little flamethrower torch at one point to back her off. Ripley has the queen's head in the loader's clamps at one point. So Cameron uses all the attributes of the loader and the alien queen for the fight, without using big wide shots, which I think might make it look a bit goofy.
If you zoomed out, you'd be like, well, that's an interesting squabble.
Yeah.
So it's got a great intensity to it, and using all the attributes.
Yeah, absolutely. You because it gets in close, but then there is a kind of freneticness to the camera movement, where it's like, oh shit, we're struggling, and the camera's a bit wobbly, and it's like, but it's very clear, and it's yeah, that was pretty good, and it's focusing on different parts of things being intertwined. So the tail's going here, and then this is going there. So it does kind of give the illusion of more action and more stuff going on than I suppose, as you said, if you just shot it at a wide angle or a mid angle, and you're just it's lacking something.
Yeah, and just the alien queen's design just looks so magnificent. The thing looks so detailed and gruesome
and gross.
Yeah, it's just an incredible monster design. It looks so scary the first time you see that. It's just oh my god, this thing is huge.
If you didn't think an alien looked bad, you didn't think an alien looked gross, Tex, look at the queen.
And I love when it reappears as well, and they think they've lost it and stuff. It's on the ship, and then later, because you don't know it's on the ship, and you get the I just love that with Bishop, because it's a heartfelt moment. You're pretty good for an android, and then it's oh, I am, and then it's hits him on the air.
That was awesome. I love that.
And splits him in half.
Because it is genuinely quite a sad moment when he gets impaled from behind, but then it's really awesome when he gets ripped apart.
Did you know that was a fatality in Mortal Kombat 10? Because the alien is...
Yes, it was.
Yeah, the alien was a
character.
DLC character. Yeah, Alien and Predator.
It makes sense on paper. You're like I could see alien being in Mortal Kombat.
Leigh, favorite shot or scene?
Like, one of my favorites would have to be when she does get in the suit and fights the Queen for the first time, because she's ready to take it to her. And then the other one would be when they're in the medical bay at the very start. I think you just get this really close, intense scene. Not with a giant alien, not with the massive Queen, just a face hugger. And it shows you more of them a threat, technically, compared to the first one.
Because you just get that one shot, really, and then they're just analysing it after it's died, and come off Kane's face, For me, I think my favourite scene is definitely, like, the first meeting between Ripley and the Alien Queen. Like, her travelling there kind of echoes the first hour of the film where everything slows right down. When she finds Newt, the pace like ramps up again when the egg opens up and gets attacked by another alien. Then they start to run away, and then all of a sudden it seems like everything stops, and all you hear is like steam coming out of pipes quietly, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Get out of there.
Yeah.
And then cut to a wide shot of all these eggs on the floor, and you're like, oh shit.
Oh, and then like they're being laid, and then it's like up to the egg sac, and then it's like, what the fuck is that attached to the egg sac,
Yeah, and then it's all like visual storytelling from then on. As you say, like a nice tracking shot of the sac.
You need to clip that in just that section for social media.
Yeah, I know. They think we're like analysing a porn scene or something. Nice track of the shaft, then the shaft. It was amazing.
Oh god, there's too much phallus stuff going on in this Alien franchise. But then there's like brilliant mind games going on where like Ripley looks scared at first, then sees like two aliens flanking Ripley. Then Ripley's like, oh, okay, you want your minions to do your dirty work for you.
Yeah.
So Ripley fires a flame above the eggs as if to say, back off, I will burn your eggs. Then the Queen looks at each of alien and they back away, which I think is just a great, just simple stuff of the alien just looking at each alien and they back away. Just so good.
It's cool. It's like a sort of Mexican standoff, like stare down with like a giant. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And the alien is basically saying, sure, okay, just leave me alone to my eggs.
Yeah. Just put the gun down. We can be friends. Just calm down. Calm down.
We could talk about this.
And then Ripley does this amazing like head tilt on her eyes and just says "fuck you" and burns all the eggs, and it's just so intense from then on as she gets back to the ship. And that's not even the last action scene. It's so good, that bit. I love it. I think just her journey like to meeting the Alien Queen for the first time, it's so, the pace slows down a lot, and it gives you a chance to soak up a lot of this atmosphere and like this combination of just like all the metal architecture combined with a lot of like the bio architecture of the alien biology mixed together. It's so kind of intense, yet everything is slowed down until the shit hits the fan. So good.
Again.
Yeah. But I also like, because I think you're right when she's going through looking for Newt, and I thought it was interesting where she's like firing, bits of flame and like looking at the gauge because she's trying to keep things away because she can hear on the sensors and stuff. She's like, okay, like they're scattering, and then a little bit further, and then she's like putting like a trail of breadcrumbs for herself, like flares and stuff. And I just love like the deliberateness of all that. And then you're like, oh, something's going to happen. But like nothing does. She's just getting on and on and on. But it just also shows just like how clever and sort of resourceful she is. But also, you're like one of these creatures could jump out at any moment. You're running low on fuel, for your fire. She's probably in a lot of trouble right now. And then it go, and then the scene progresses from there. So,
and it's just so badass as well. She's got like the flamethrower and the assault rifle strapped together. Like the whole production design of it just makes the whole atmosphere of the whole thing so epic and intense. And it's just
such a badass female.
I could happily watch this film over and over again.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people go to this than the first Alien. Like a lot of people watch. Oh, I've seen Aliens countless. It's like Terminator. I've seen Aliens so many more times. I've seen the original one.
It's more like, I guess, Kick-Ass than Alien. It's very different films, I think, even though it's the same monster, very different films. The first one is very much a space horror film, whereas this is yes, there's a lot of horror elements here, but it's more of an action film, I would say, than a horror film.
She takes it to them this time round.
You got a favourite shot or scene, Bowers?
I think my favourite shot's still in my head. You know, I think you said, the tail, there was something wrong. I didn't fucking notice it at the time. But I love the image of...
Small nitpick.
of the alien coming out of the water behind Newt, and she's got no idea, and it just, like, absolutely dwarfs her.
Directing score, Bowers, what should we go for? I mean, I think James Cameron just does a remarkable job of just... I'll get to it a lot in screenplay, but just, like, the way he builds atmosphere... and suspense throughout the first hour, and then it's just a kick-ass ride of immense intensity for Ripley and all these other characters that are living that have survived to this point. So I'm like 9.7, 9.8. I think it's that good.
That's pretty damn high. Yeah. I would say, what was it? I was going to say, like, I got to say, like, I think it's just one thing I had a problem with, but it was so brief and like it's not really a problem. So you know when they're flying in their spacecraft, yeah?
Oh, right, yeah.
I think most of those scenes were fine, but some of them look a little dated. Like, you know, you're like, you're not really flying in a spacecraft. Like, I can just tell something's off.
This is Star Trek days.
Yeah. Where you're like, it's just essentially, I think, just two of those scenes where, you know, it's navigating through the city or whatever to the city to land, and you're like, something's not quite right there. But I can forgive that because, you know, the rest of the film, like the actual meat of it, all of that shit still looks really good.
I agree, it does look a bit Thunderbirdy, but, you know, Jerry Anderson. But a lot of the model work, certainly on the ground, looks incredible.
Yeah, exactly. Just everything else, it looks good. I'm just saying, like, if I'm going to say one thing where I'm like, the effects, it would be like the flying scenes. And yeah, that would be about it.
9.7 then?
That is pretty damn high. I would go maybe a 9.4.
Really?
Come on, man. Like, that is good.
9.5?
I like how disappointed you sound.
Yeah.
Really? You won't give it the 2 decibels?
Like anything else, you're like, whoa, really?
9.5.
Okay, we'll go 9.5.
Leigh, what's your directing score, sir?
I'll get my original was going by 9.0, but I'll give it 9.5. He's done a great job in upping the ante, building it, as you said, building the atmosphere. Like, you definitely feel in this world. You know, I can only imagine, which is a big thing if you look back, is watching this on the big screen for the very first time would have been very intense, especially the first one. But James Cameron does a fantastic job in this film. You know, I put Aliens on the same kind of bar as Terminator 2 on, like, they've definitely up the ante the CGI. Yes, at the very start with the space flying, when you mentioned that, I was like, that's right. I remember thinking, ugh. But it's all about time difference. You know, back then it would have been pristine to them.
The best thing ever,
Yeah.
But no, James Cameron does a fantastic job this time around.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, screenplay then. Yeah, you mentioned this earlier, Leigh, but I kind of just like the fake out, like, chest burster scene that you have right at the start with Ripley.
Oh, what, the dream one?
Yeah, the dream sequence, yeah. Like, the first time you watch it, you're like, no way, surely not. They're not gonna, then cut to Ripley, like, waking up. Of course they're not. I think because it's so early in the film, it suckers you in to really think they could kill Ripley here, but obviously they don't. But just for, like, a split second, you think, are they? But yeah, it still freaks me out a bit as well. Just the way it's done with the slow mo as well. It's just like, oh my god.
I like also how they look at the cat and it gives, like, a hiss, like a sort of alien hiss.
Yeah,
and she's like freaking out, and then
Jonesy.
Yeah, watching it with fresh eyes, you'd be like, you're not going to survive a second time. There's no way you're going to go up against all this with more and survive, and you don't come out unscathed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think also another, like, interesting thing in the plot, which I didn't know going in is that like this is set 57 years after the first one. Yeah, she was like in stasis or whatever. Like they do, stasis pods or whatever. And was lost in space for 57 years. So like this is a hell of a sequel afterwards. It's like, wow, that's quite a time jump.
Everybody you knew is dead.
Yeah, exactly. I did actually quite like that bit where Bert comes in with information on her family, and like her daughter, when she left, she was like, it was going to be her 11th birthday, and it's like, oh yeah, we found her. She died 2 years ago. She was 67 or something. And she's just like, what the fuck?
Like, how? Trying to comprehend that.
I kept thinking about that because I was like, man, that would be horrific. If that actually happened to you, that you were gone that long and your children have all aged and died.
Because it'd just be a dream. It'd just be, you'd just be going for a nap and then waking up and go, yeah.
This film is more of an action film and not a horror film, as I kind of said. But the first hour, there is no action at all. It's all atmosphere building of Ripley and the audience knowing what the aliens are capable of versus like the arrogance of Wayland and the Marines thinking this is not a big deal,
We're fine. We got this.
Yeah. At the start, you have the tension between like Ripley and the bureaucrats on the station. Then when the Marines enter the station on LV-426, they're all really like slick and badass, and Cameron really takes time for you to really soak up every detail of this colony station. Then you have like the fake out scare of Newt's entrance going across the screen. Then the like real chill is when Ripley asks Newt, "Don't you think you'll be safer here with us?" And Newt just shakes her head, "Nope." And then when they find movement on the other side of the building, you see the amazing like HR Geiger alien biology architecture around the building. Then they can't use their powerful weapons because they all blow up, if they fire them. So you have all this atmosphere and tension building for a whole hour before the shit hits the fan, or rather the acid and the blood hit the fan. But yeah, it's just so good.
That's the best way to describe it. Before the shit hits the fan, legit.
Yeah, so it's pretty remarkable, really, that, not a trigger is pulled pretty much. I know there's a little bit from Drake when Newt goes past, but other than that, no trigger is pulled for like a whole hour of this film. It's quite extraordinary, really, when you think about it in those terms.
And that's what I mean, is like they really, you really feel Scott Weaver, how she's felt, and you really get introduced into the team before, which I think you best described, Martin, was like, for 3/4, you were all mowed down.
Yeah. When the stuff really does get, going, you're so invested in the characters that you're like, I don't want anything bad to happen to them. You know what I mean? And it's like, so I think that definitely raises the stakes, makes it a lot more tense and stuff. I also do like, the whole call to adventure moment. All the command think she's fucking crazy and they've revoked her license, and her daughter is dead, and she's a person at a time, and she went through this horrible shit in the first film, and she's still waking up with like nightmares, and so you got all this nonsense, and then Burke is like, the colony, it's gone dark, I think it's probably the alien you're talking about, like, we want you to come on as a consultant, and she is so against this. She's like, no. I'm not fucking going out there. Like, you got to be out of your mind. Like, I like how she's not like what she is later in the film, which is a complete badass. It's like, no, I'm not fucking doing this. You got to be crazy. And then later, it's like, you've got to promise. She says to Burke, and by this point, like, Burke seems very likable and trustworthy. It's like, you're gonna kill it. You're not gonna study it or whatever. You're gonna kill him. And then she decides to go. And I quite like that.
Which reminds me of like Jurassic Park 3 with like Sam Neill's character. He's like, I'm not going back on a dinosaur island. There's no way you're going to get me on that island.
Yeah.
I like how in that film they just like open up a briefcase or whatever. They just like say a random amount of money. So,
okay.
Right. I'll just a flyby. That'll be fine.
I do love the relationship between Ripley and Newt to bring out like Ripley's femininity in her character.
Motherhood.
Yeah, because for me, like, Ripley is one of the greatest action heroes we've seen on screen, and I love that they don't forget that she's a woman too, and builds on her character with Newt, where she cleans her face off and says there's a little girl under there. You know, later Ripley pretends that Newt's doll Casey doesn't have bad dreams, and then Newt calls her out on it and just says, you know, Ripley, she doesn't have bad dreams because she's just a piece of plastic. So, you know, so for Newt, she hasn't really had a mother figure at all. So it kind of shows Ripley, you know, she is trying and failing in being a mother figure in that moment, and it just drives her on in those final moments to save Newt at the end. So I do like the heart and soul of this film as well. That kind of really works for her character in being this mother figure.
Well, I like that a bit, you know, in the same scene where she's trying to, like, basically treat Newt like a child, because she is a child, and, like, comfort her and make her not worried. But, like, Newt's seen some shit. She's seen her family die, and she's seen everybody else die, and survived for God knows how long. I like how, you know, she even says, like, do you have a daughter, you know, or do you have a child, to, like, Ripley? And he's like, yeah, I did. I did. You know, she was 11. And it's like, what happened to her? And it's like, she's gone. You mean she's dead? You know, it's like just very blunt. Like, you know, don't fuck me around. Like, you know.
After you've seen that much crap, you will be
direct and
just get to the point. Yeah, just direct. Yeah, I don't need any euphemisms.
No. And it pains me the fact that, you know, one of the best parts of this movie is the relationship between Newt and Ripley, and then number 3 just throws it all away.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
You know, they both could have been going up aliens. They could have been a mother and daughter team.
Yeah.
And then Ripley died, but Newt survives. But no, they completely throw that all away in Aliens 3.
Yeah.
So I guess what you guys are saying is I shouldn't watch Aliens for 3. Right?
No. Like, you wouldn't always think it's a sequel to this movie.
Yeah.
It's that bad. The only thread is the alien and Ripley.
Even the effects are really bad as well.
The CGI just plummets.
Do you reckon, like, James Cameron sabotages anybody that comes after him in a project?
Yeah,
just intentionally sabotages them so that they don't surpass him.
That's why he's made Titanic 2.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why he has to train people beyond you know, for the Avatar sequels.
Yeah,
I guess
because this keeps happening to him. But I think he's doing this. I think he's like sabotaging equipment, killing the writers. You know.
Bankrupting special effects companies that rival his.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I like how, like, Cameron creates a plot problem into a brilliant spectacle. The film starts off with these futuristic Marines with, like, really high technical weapons, but it's a rescue mission. They need to get the survivors out safe, but of course it all goes wrong, and more than half of the Marines get killed. But they're high-tech, futuristic Marines. They can just nuke them from above later, you know. So Cameron's like, we need to take out the ship. You could argue it's quite convenient that an alien is on the ship, but Cameron solved the plot problem with a great model crash, which still looks great today, in my opinion.
Yeah, that looks good. So I would say, like, the flying of the thing doesn't look as good, but when it crashed, that looked amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it coming to the ground, that looked really good.
Anything that burns.
Yeah, that looked good.
If it burns, it looks good.
Yeah, he can blow shit up.
But in doing that, Cameron creates 2 problems for the characters to ramp up the stakes. Like, the crash damages the terraforming plant that will end up blowing them all to hell. So you've got a ticking time bomb thing going on, and the ship had the only radio transmitter to send for another ship. So you're solving one problem that you've written yourself into by creating 2 great other problems later on, you know, for the characters. So it's just great.
Because don't they have to they can contact another ship, but they need to, like, go outside. They need to do something else.
Yeah.
So that gives them an objective. They need to go, you know, deeper into the danger. to get in another ship. So it does quite a lot to sort of give the plot focus.
Because obviously the main problem is in this type of story and this militaristic thing is the fact that they've got crazy ass weapons that can just take out the whole place. So okay, you got to get rid of the ship somehow. I mean, is it too convenient that like an alien is just right there by the ship, or can you just wave that off?
So yeah, do you know what? I actually kind of do think a little bit like it wasn't sort of set up like it's just in the shit and it just kills her, and that was cool. But I am thinking like, how the fuck did it get in there? Like, you know, I think maybe personally I would have kind of like sort of set it up somehow.
It's difficult to try and destroy that ship some other way, so
or you know, have it that it sneaks in, but like just I don't know, just sort of allude to it beforehand. I don't know exactly how.
Yeah, like a tail or something around the corner.
Yeah, you know, or maybe like at the beginning, like something, you know, one of the aliens like latches onto the bottom of the ship, and then you see it like scurry through, and then you're like, something's going on, and then later there's a payoff. But you know, I do kind of get you. It's almost like, because I was shocked. It's like it's about halfway through, or nearly over halfway through, and they've had their first big altercation. And they have the idea, let's just take the fucking plane and nuke this fucking place to oblivion. And I'm like, that is a good idea, you know. So I'm like, you know, surely this film is over. And then the ship gets taken. Yeah, the ship gets taken out. So I do love. So it's one of those things. It's like it does seem really convenient that it happens, and I think it would have made more sense if you have some sort of logical setup on how, like, the alien could get in the ship. But then that would lessen the surprise of you think, oh, they're getting out. This is the end of the movie. And then, no, it's not. Yeah.
Oh, this is wrapping up pretty early. Huh.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just like the fact that, yes, they solve that problem in a bit of a contrivance, but you set up some really great other problems for the characters themselves, which so I think it is passable for me. So
because as you say, you know, you get they don't have transport, the fucking place is going to blow up because of that, and you know they can't get any more new transport unless they do some stuff in order to call new transport. So it's like it sets up the plot again,
and it removes like Bishop's character, who is a very strong character because he's synthetic strength and all that, so he's the only one that can travel to the dish to get the other ship back, so you're removing another problem as well. So I think it's great. It's just really well written, I would say. And I do think this script is quite clever as well in how they use Burke and Bishop's characters, because in the first film Ash is basically representing like the Wayland Company and is obviously a synthetic. But in this film, Cameron decides to split those aspects into two characters. But I think most of the focus is on Burke, the company guy, wanting to bring back an alien for a paycheck. And I don't think the film really hides the fact that Burke isn't to be trusted. You know, he is quite weak. Yes, he's kind of nice in the beginning, but it's kind of obvious for me that he is, you know, not to be trusted.
Yeah, well, I think it's just that it's a trope, but I do think he does a good job of pretending to be nice through quite a big portion of the film. Like, he is Ripley's like only advocate for a long time. Like, he's the only one that believes her. He's the only one that has her back. Only one that doesn't want her fired. You know, only one that wants her actually on the mission. Like, he is just constantly advocating for her and listening to, you know, everything she said, and telling the guys to as well. But yeah, you get to a point where you're like, no, okay, now he's the bad guy. Now he's really interested in the creature. Now, okay, this is fairly obvious. But I do like that they also kind of do that with Bishop as well. Like, you know, they set him up. He's a synthetic. She learns that, doesn't want anything to fucking do with him. And when they go to the planet, he's dissecting the facehuggers, and he's like, oh, it's a remarkable creature. And you think, oh, shit, that's just like Ash. But that's not what he's like at all. He's a good guy, and Burke is a piece of shit.
But I think what's quite clever about it is because it takes away the focus from Bishop, who Ripley really doesn't trust from the start because of what Ash did in the first film. So,
which makes sense.
Throughout the film, you have this in the back of your mind: is Bishop going to betray Ripley in the end? Is he a secret Wayland spy? it's
Yeah.
brilliantly revealed that he is, a good guy, at the end when the ship
Yeah.
finally comes back to pick him up.
Yeah, I thought that was good because, like, when they come out of the elevator and the alien queen is coming up her elevator and it's fire and everything's on fire and there's no ship there and she's like, "Bishop, you son of a bitch!" And it's like, I fucking knew it,
Yeah.
And then he comes. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so I quite like how they kind of. I think more of the focus is on Burke and Ripley and not Ripley and Bishop. So it kind of it sits in the back of your mind. I do love that.
Whose team are you on?
Misdirect kind of thing. And it is genuinely sad when he does die, when Bishop does die. So it does work.
It does, because he's like, you did rock up. You were there to save the day, and you think, all right, let's all fly off.
He went beyond and above, the Call of Duty. And even when he's like in half, he still like saves Newt from like going down the fucking thing. Like he's got no legs, and he still like saves her.
He's only doing half the work.
Yeah, exactly.
So, favorite lines, people? What we got?
I love that whole speech about because I think that's one of the few lines that I knew before I watched the film, where he's like, she's like, I don't know which is worse, them or us. At least they don't fuck each other up over for a percentage.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That's my favorite one. Yeah,
that's a pretty damn good line.
Yeah, Burke, I don't know which species is worse. You don't see them fucking each other over for a goddamn percentage.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's the one time Ripley hates the human race more than the aliens, just for just that one little scene. Yeah.
For me, it would probably Bill Paxton's "It's game over, man. It's game over."
Oh, it's game over, man.
Which apparently, I think I read he ad-libbed that.
Yeah, that is awesome.
That's brilliant. Yeah, it's game over, man. Yeah, that gets parodied a lot.
Did IQs just sharply drop while I was away?
I like that one where she meets the Marines and they're all grilling each other. And they're grilling the woman, and they're like...
Vasquez.
Oh, yes.
Bill Paxton is like, do you ever get tired of being mistaken for a man?
No, have you?
Yeah, that was funny, yeah.
We're on an express elevator to hell, going down.
Yeah.
Stop your grinning and drop your linen. So many great Bill Paxton ones. Oh, yeah, another great one from Paxton where he says, where he's talking to Burke... and he wants to like bring one of them back, and he says, "Maybe you haven't been keeping up with current events, but we just got our asses kicked, pal."
Yes.
That was good.
There's a great little ominous one from Newt where she says, "It'll be dark soon," and they mostly come out at night. Mostly.
They cut the power. What do you mean they cut the power? How could they cut the power, man? They're animals.
That was good. Yeah, I actually do love Bill Paxton in this because he is just so fucking overconfident. I love when he's like detailing all the weapons they got on the ship to like put Ripley's mind at ease. It's like, we got lasers, we got this, we got grenades, we got fucking cannons, we got nukes. Nothing's fucking with that. And then later he's like, oh god, he's just always complaining, just fucking hysterical.
And obviously the most iconic line, which again has been parodied in so many things, is "Get away from her, you bitch."
Yeah, that's a good one, yeah. Get away from her, you bitch.
Is that your favorite, do you reckon, Lee?
Nah, I'll say the game over one.
Yeah. Boaz, you got a favorite? Oh.
The percentage one.
Oh, yeah.
The same one as yours.
So, screenplay score, Boaz, what should we go with? I think it's so good, Again, as I said, like the first hour is just all suspense building, and then the second hour is just pure intense action, violence, horror. Just so good. So many epic moments.
So I go anywhere between an 8.8 to a 9, that range.
9.2?
I was waiting for that. Like, do you mean 9.2
or 3?
I think I don't want to lose face because now if I say then I look like a bitch because every time I'm just like listening to you. So no, I'm putting my foot down. It's 9, flat 9.
Okay.
That's it.
9.1?
No.
Okay.
Would you consider that?
I
Fine.
quit. Fuck you. I've had enough of this.
I was gonna say a 9 a flat 9 for me because the plot, the atmosphere, and the dialogue. Not once watching this, do I think, oh, that's a little bit corny. I'm like, no, that's how I would feel in this situation.
Yeah,
cool,
pretty much. Acting then. I find the opening scenes on the space station really interesting from Sigourney Weaver because Burke is trying to convince Ripley to go back to LV-426, as Bowers mentioned as well. But from an acting point of view, it's really interesting because she's adamant she's not going. No, I'm not going. And usually in these types of situations in films, there's some sort of like light bulb moment where the character discovers something to make them change their mind. Not here. Ripley still doesn't really want to go, but before she calls Burke, you see Ripley waking up in hot sweats, again looking terrified.
Mm-hmm.
You feel her pain in her acting because of what happened in the previous film was so terrifying. She basically is going on this mission to wipe them out so she can sleep peacefully again. It's very much an emotional character decision to go for her and not a plot one. You get a lot of that through her acting for me.
Sigourney Weaver brought it for this movie. She has the best acting in this entire movie for me.
Oh, yeah.
Not only like that emotional anchor, but like as you said before with Newt, like you get that soft moment with everything going on.
Yeah, I think she definitely has quite a range from being quite, vulnerable to start with, and then, heartbroken with her, the daughter and everything, and then just kind of pissed off that nobody listens to her, and then as it goes, motherly, very motherly and sensitive, and then very stern and like badass and fucking action hero. So she does like basically everything. Yeah, she does a really damn good job.
There's so many moments in this film where like she goes very quickly from being terrified to like, okay, fuck it, I need to sort this out. I need to do something about the situation. You get that in the tank when they're all kind of getting picked off halfway through the film, and then she just grabs the wheel and saves them. She has this great outburst with Gorman. She's like, Gorman, do something!
Yeah, pull your fucking men out of there, yeah.
Then she just takes over,
Like, she's giving orders to his men, and he's like, what the hell?
But yeah, I do quite like Gorman's character as well, the actor who plays him. He brings this great, like, fake charisma, this fake confidence at the start.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of the grunts like take the piss out of him a little bit, but he kind of takes it. You don't feel like it's getting under his skin. But then when the real action moments happen, he can't deal with it. He's kind of quite panicky and doesn't know what to do. But then I quite like his arc as well, because he does the sacrifice play with Vasquez in the air vents. So he does have like a great like last beat there.
Yeah.
And it's him setting off. It's him getting the grenade out, not Vasquez, which I think is a great decision. So he does get some redemption as well.
Yeah.
I love that line from Vasquez as well. She says something like, "Oh, you're always an asshole, Gorman," before they blow up.
Yeah.
That was a great bit.
Not, oh, it's been wonderful serving you. No, you're always an asshole.
So it's just that great combination of like, yeah, he's got that nice redemption moment to an insult immediately after,
Yeah.
What do we make of like Lance Hendrickson as Bishop in this?
I think he did a good job, especially for being a synthetic. And I think he did a great job of you double guessing all the way through whose side are you on.
Certainly in Alien with Ian Holm, who played Ash, like it's very much a reveal, a surprise that he is an android in that film. So he's basically portraying that character like he is a human in that film. But with this, you know that he's a synthetic from the start after the knife game. Great scene that, but yeah. So Lance Hendrickson has to play this role so carefully of balancing out his human side and his synthetic side of just like, of just trying to, for the audience, just trying to read who this guy is throughout the film, especially with the fact that, as I said in screenplay, like the film is trying to take away the focus from him for me. So the subtlety can't be too much that he's a background character. So it's a really interesting balance that Lance Hendrickson goes for here.
Yeah.
So it's just a fine balance of putting a little bit of emotion to not doing anything at all. So it's a really great performance from him.
And yeah, being very like clinical and very like, these are the facts, and just, and very calm even when like shit's going off and everybody's losing their minds, like he's a machine. But I do like that bit, both the line and the acting, where he explains that he needs to go and fix the dish, and they give him all of his stuff to fix it. And just the delivery of like I don't want to, he even kind of admits, like, I don't want to go out there. I have to. I don't want to go out there. I'm not crazy. Yeah. Like, he's like, I may be synthetic, but I'm not mad.
Yeah.
And like, you just, like, it's a twinge. It's just a second of like actual fear when he says that. And then, it's back to, okay, let's do this. And I just kind of like that, where you're like, oh shit. Like, he can feel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, Android's not silly.
He's doing his directive, but like, he is scared, and he's just letting it out just a tiny bit. I thought that was pretty cool.
Look, as small as it was, I think Carrie, who plays Newt, did such a good job.
Yeah, she's great.
For being a scared kid, a traumatized kid.
Yeah.
To the whole movie, to be like, you've watched your entire family be wiped out by these aliens. I think she did a good job for her age, and she was one of the better one of the better acting, because you feel every time she's on scene, you feel for her.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes she's not even talk. Like, she doesn't talk for a good section.
On this podcast, listeners will know that I do have a problem with child acting, but certainly not here. I think she's great, and she removes her innocence of her child acting as well, like you get a lot of in a lot of other films. You don't have that here as much, especially in those scenes with Sigourney Weaver, where she feels like more of the adult character at times, compared to like Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton was the child. Like, he's the more fretty one in the movie. Like, he's the more scared one. And then you got this little girl who's always completely composed for the whole movie.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing to fear for Newt anymore, because she's like, it feels like she's desensitized to it all, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was looking for. Desensitized.
There is nothing that can scare her anymore, because she's scared all the time,
And I definitely like, her growing sort of bond with Ripley. And like towards the end, like, she does seem like more of a normal kid. So it's like she's really warmed up to her. So it's taken time, where she's, incredibly blunt and sort of emotionally quite reserved, till like at the end, when everything has been solved, it's done, and she's happy, like the first time. And she says that line of like, will I go to sleep now? We sleep through the whole journey. It's like, yeah. And it's like, can I dream? And it's like, yeah, and I just thought it was really good. It's like nice and sweet. It's a sweet moment, but she comes across, she delivers that like, she's a happy kid, and you're like, oh wow, that's a hell of a little transition from this like hard as nails kind of adult kid, like a grizzled sort of fucking war veteran like kid, to like regular kid at the end. Oh, that was pretty cool.
She restores her humanity.
Just don't watch Aliens 3. You'll be so disappointed after saying all that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just don't.
Leigh, what's your favourite performance? Who are you going with?
I think I'll go with Newt, because obviously everyone would say Ripley, but I'd say Newt.
Yeah.
For this little girl, this massive action piece, and not playing the damsel in distress, the kid that's always screaming, or the kid that's always, we gotta protect the kid. Like, it was always that everyone had to protect themselves. She was fine. So I'd say Newt.
It is a pretty difficult thing to get a kid to do. It's like, I want you to act your ass off and like you've seen some shit.
Yeah,
that's a pretty interesting thing. Yeah, that must be quite a load to put on a kid actor.
Who are you going with, Boaz, for your favourite performance?
I think I would go Sigourney, but like just for some variety, because I know you're probably going to say Sigourney.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Bill Paxton because he does an amazing losing his shit, man-child, basically. So yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Man-child, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to be obvious and boring and go with Sigourney Weaver, who is just an action legend for me. So yeah, her. Acting score, Boaz?
No peer pressure.
Maybe like an 8.7, 8.8. I'm not sure I'd go a 9 here. I think the cast is all generally really, really good, but I'm not sure it's like 9 level.
Let's go 8.8, I think.
Okay. Leigh?
Yeah, I'll go 8.8. Like no one's acting. I felt like this was a Friday afternoon or you've just woken up. Like nothing really stood out to me that I was like, that's a bit bad. You could feel everyone's personality.
Right, let's add up the scores then for Aliens. And Aliens gets a pretty awesome score of 54.6. So it is very much game over, man, for the Terminator.
It's terminated.
Alien wins this one quite comfortably.
I agree.
So next episode, as The Pale Blue Eye is coming out on the Netflixes, and we'll be doing period set horror films, and we'll be returning around hopefully the 14th of January next year for that one. No guest yet, but hopefully we might have one. Who knows? Leigh, you have been amazing. This is your opportunity again to tell us about your podcast and where can we find you?
Look, I want to say thank you very much for having me on, guys. It's been a pleasure, especially been the second time round. It's great to pick your guys' brains, and I tune into your show, and I really do enjoy what you guys do. And you have a unique way that you do the movies compared to the plethora of other podcasts out there. You guys have a unique way of doing it, which is very refreshing. And look, I hope you guys enjoy your break. And as of for everyone, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Lights Carrot, if anyone looking for a good rant, you know where to find me.
Cool. Yeah.
Was it the string of compliments? You're like, what the fuck is a compliment?
Yeah.
Never had somebody compliment on a show before.
Yeah. It's goodbye from Leigh. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
And it's goodbye from a man trying to figure out how to cry. Bye-bye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Bye-bye.
Get away from me, you bitches.
That's it for part 2. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out part 1 if you haven't done so already. But don't stop there. Get involved and tell me what your favourite films are relating to the episodes. Send us a DM or comment on Instagram and TikTok at Film vs. Film Podcast, for X at FVF_podcast. Plus, we are now on YouTube, so hit that like button and comment there. If you do, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Remember, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Pod signing off.